Namaskarams to all the Satsangis today. Yes, as our mentor rightly said, today is a very, very special occasion where we are marking Gau Lakshmi Day, which is 18th June and happens to be tomorrow. So this day at our Satsang, it fills me with immense joy and gratitude to be walking back in time to the great Bhaktin, Gau Lakshmi's life. And I need to share this. While going over the Charitram of Gau Lakshmi, after our mentor Shri Lavanya Rao garu asked me to offer the Pravatsanam today, it left me thinking how I wish I had been around then to behold this divine phenomenon of supreme devotion between two supreme beings. So on that note, I thought, why not we all travel back in time to 1926 up until 1948 and try to understand how Lakshmi came to the ashramam, what Lakshmi did to the bhaktas there, what was this unique relation between Lakshmi and Bhagavan. Lakshmi, who came to be called so much later, was born in 1926 at the home of Arunachalam Pillai of Gudiyattam near Vellore. It's very interesting to note, this man, Pillai, had a dream in which he was asked to give the next calf to be born at his home to Ramana Maharshi. So what Pillai does? Pillai brought the calf and its mother to the ashramam and narrated his dream. And that was the time when the ashram was surrounded by a dense jungle which used to be inhabited by wild animals like leopards and panthers. So the ashramites were therefore unwilling to accept this offer of Pillai. But Pillai had taken his dream very, very seriously and refused to take the calf away. So on seeing his insistence and devotion, a great devotee of Bhagavan, Ramanatha Brahmachari, declared he would look after the calf and the cow. And I would like to share this. Interestingly, Bhagavan himself was not willing to accept the offering. So once Bhagavan relates the story of Lakshmi's coming, and I put it in English, as Bhagavan said, you know what happened when they came here with the cow and the calf? I asked, why all this for us? And Pillai said, I have for a long time been thinking of presenting you, Bhagavan, with a cow. I am now in a position to do so. I have brought this after a great deal of trouble, O Swami, by boat and by rain, by rail. Please keep it, Swami. And I told Pillai, you have done your duty in presenting it to us. Who is there to look after it? Please keep it with you on our behalf. And Pillai said, I will not take it away even if you cut my throat. So hearing this, Ramanatha Brahmachari came in with great jest and he told Bhagavan, I shall look after the cow. So Bhagavan tells him, all right, hang it around your own neck. Now, as the calf came on a Friday, Bhagavan says, we named her Lakshmi. Let's try to understand how was Lakshmi. So Lakshmi was very, very, very playful. She would jump around as whenever she was very pleased, and while doing so, she ruined all the vegetable plants that were grown in the ashram. If someone would chide her, she would come to Bhagavan for protection. And Bhagavan would tell all the ashramites, okay, you put a fence to protect your plants. So what happened is later, Ramanatha Brahmachari could not put up with all these troubles from all the other inmates, and he handed over the cow, Lakshmi and her calf, to a person by the name of Pashupati. So once Pashupati came along with the cow and the calf, and Bhagavan says, At that time, Lakshmi saw the whole ashram. And how beautifully Bhagavan says, remembering the route carefully, she began coming here every day all by herself. Lakshmi would come in the morning and go away in the evening. She used to lie down by the side of my couch. If food was available, she would insist that I alone should give it to her. She would not take anything other than the Malai Vazhaparam, which is in Tamil and in English translates as the hill banana. Lakshmi came away permanently to the ashramam in 1930. And by then, she had already 3 calves, and all the calves that she had borne were given to the ashramam. And again, there is this very interesting dialogue between Bhagavan and Lakshmi. When she was going to bear a calf, once again, Lakshmi was shedding tears and lay close to the couch, softly passing his hand over her face. Bhagavan says, "What? You say you can't go away. You only want to stay here. What am I to do?" Looking at the others, Bhagavan says, "Look, Lakshmi is weeping, saying she cannot go away. She is pregnant and she may have confinement at any moment. She has to go a long distance and come back again in the morning. What is she supposed to do?" Somehow Bhagavan coaxed her and sent her away. That very night, Lakshmi delivered, and Pashupati, unable to bear his domestic difficulties and the burden of Lakshmi, brought Lakshmi and her calves and presented them to Bhagavan. Lakshmi lay at Bhagavan's feet and would not rise, placing his right hand on her head and caressing it. Bhagavan asked, "Would you like to stay here permanently?" Lakshmi closes her eyes and lays still as if in a trance. Noticing that, Bhagavan points out to the others. It seems and it appears as though her responsibility for her calves is over. They have been placed in my charge. And Bhagavan says, after Aragamma came to stay with me, regular cooking and meals started. And after Lakshmi came, cattle rearing and dairying got established at the ashramam. Subsequently, for 3 to 4 years, Lakshmi was presenting the ashram with a calf every year on Bhagavan's Jayanti day. And altogether, she bore nearly 9 calves. How many generations of devotees had partaken of her milk, curd, and butter? It was because of Lakshmi that prosperity was brought in, and thousands of bhaktas from all over the world came to Ramanashramam to find their home in Arunachala. She lived for 20 years after she came permanently to the ashram, serving her master, who treated her like his own mother. Come 18 June 1948, the final day of Lakshmi on this earth. Here, I would like to quote from Suri Nagama's classic, Letters from Ramanashramam. Suri Nagama writes, and I quote, "To that queen, as for his own mother, Bhagavan, on Friday 18th June 1948, gave Videha Mukti. That morning, when I went to the ashramam, I was told that Lakshmi was seriously ill and would not survive the day. I went straight to the cowshed without even seeing Bhagavan. The room built for the calves was vacated, cleaned, and Lakshmi was given a bed of straw to lie down on. As it was a Friday, she was as usual decorated with turmeric paste. She had a vermilion mark on her forehead and a garland of flowers around the neck and horns. Venkataratnam, Bhagavan's attendant, was sitting by her side, fanning her. Lakshmi was lying down with a majestic look, spreading luster all around. He reminded me of Kamadhenu going to Kailas to do Abhishekam with milk for Lord Shiva. And Surinagama writes, when I went to Bhagavan after seeing Lakshmi, I prostrated before him and got up. Bhagavan gave me a divine look. Taking it as an order, I said, Bhagavan, I would go and stay with Lakshmi. He nodded in assent, and I went immediately. Venkataratnam gave me the fan and left. Sitting in that place, I began repeating Ramana Dvadashakshari, the 12 letters Ramana mantra. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. In the Ashtotram, 108th of Ramana. And Lakshmi appeared to hear them carefully. When Bhagavan came to the cowshed at 9:45 as usual, he came to Lakshmi, sat on the hay by her side, lifted her head with both his hands, and passed one of his hands lightly over her face and throat. Then placing his left hand on the head, he began pressing his right hand fingers, her throat, right down to the heart. After pressing so for about quarter of an hour, he said, addressing Lakshmi, Ennama Lakshmi, this is how Bhagavan would always address Lakshmi. What do you say, O mother? Do you want me to stay here alone? I could stay, but what to do? All the people would be around you as in the case of my mother. Even so, why shall I go? Lakshmi remains calm, devoid of all the bonds of this world and the pains of her body, as though she was in samadhi. Bhagavan sat there, unwilling to move, and with a heart full of compassion. And Surinagama says, explains, Mother Aragamma had the greatest blessing, and so now Lakshmi. Bhagavan looks at Surinagama with his mind, turning towards Lakshmi and gently stroking her head. He said, what do you say, may I cook? Subbalakshmi, the cook, comes in. She says, she'll be happy if Bhagavan is by her side. If that is so, but what to do? So saying, Bhagavan looks into the eyes of Lakshmi and asks once again, may I go? Won't you tell me? Lakshmi says, looking at him proudly. What reply Bhagavan got, we do not know. But he got up and went away saying, see that the flies do not get into the mouth. And Surinagama says, I assure you, Bhagavan, we shall take care of Lakshmi. Here again, I would like to quote yet another great devotee, G.V. Subbaramaya, who also happens to be our mentor, Lavanya Rao Garu's mentor. G.V. Subbaramaya writes, after breakfast itself that morning, Bhagavan had gone to the cowshed and saw Lakshmi lying prostrate and breathing hard. Bhagavan sat beside her, took her head into his arms, and gently stroked her neck. He fixed his gracious gaze on her eyes. At once, Lakshmi's breathing became steady and harmonious. As her eyes met, tears trickled from both. Those of us who stood by could not contain our emotions. Nearly half an hour passed. This was indeed a sight for the gods. At last, Bhagavan addressed her in the tenderest voice, saying, Amma, what do you want? I must now go to the hall, as the people there will be asking for me. But wherever I may be, I will never leave you. I will always be with you. You are all right. Surinagama continues, with the divine touch of Bhagavan, the outer breath of Lakshmi began subsiding, and the movement of the body began to decrease. As the doctor came at 10:30 and gave an injection, Lakshmi remained unaffected. Doctor turned her over into the posture of Nandi, put some medicine on the boils and went away, instructing us to keep some support for the head. It was by 11:30. Then Venkataratnam came. After having his meal, he asked me to hold up the head, saying he would bring some more hay. The tongue touched me and it was icy cold. The life of Lakshmi had reached the feet of Shri Ramana and was absorbed in him. 10 minutes later, Bhagavan came into the shed saying, "Is it all over?" and squatted by her side. He took her face in both his arms as though she were a little child, lifting with, "Oh Lakshmi, Lakshmi. Because of her, our family has grown to this extent." And Bhagavan also said, when all were praising Lakshmi, "I suppose the doctor has not troubled her much, did he? How did her life cease?" Bhagavan was told everything, and Bhagavan said, "Ramakrishnan has been saying for the last 10 days that a good samadhi must be built for Lakshmi." Lakshmi was buried with all religious observances as befitting a jnani and with ceremonial splendor. The Sarvadhikari brought the body of Lakshmi in a wooden cart. Bhagavan came and sat on a chair. Devotees brought water in pots and poured it over the body of Lakshmi. Abhishekam was done with milk, curd, ghee, sugar and rose water. Incense was burnt. A silk cloth was placed over the body, and her face was smeared with turmeric powder and vermilion, and the body was covered with flower garlands. At about 7 p.m., devotees lowered the body of Lakshmi into the grave with the cries of "Hara Hara Mahadev." Bhagavan was visibly affected. After Bhagavan had touched some holy leaves, they were thrown onto Lakshmi by the Sarvadhikari. After the burial was over, Bhagavan came back to the hall and prasadam was distributed. The whole thing ended like a marriage. Lakshmi, the cow, is no longer in the cow shed. She has been freed from the bonds of the body and has now merged in the lustrous Atman of Sri Ramana. Bhagavan wrote an epitaph in Tamil for Lakshmi, which is now engraved on a plaque on a samadhi, which was translated by Bhagavan into Malayalam and Telugu. The English translation of the epitaph reads, "On Friday, the 5th of Ani, in the bright fortnight in Shukla Paksham on Dvadashi in Vishakha Nakshatra, in Saravdhari year, that is 18648, the cow Lakshmi attained mukti." When devotees asked Bhagavan whether what he had written in the epitaph, that Lakshmi had attained mukti, was true, or whether it was just a formal word, Bhagavan replied, "Yes, it was true that Lakshmi attained mukti." A devotee yet again asked Bhagavan, "Bhagavan, you remained with Mother Aragama for 10 hours until her end and helped her attain moksha. Why did you not stay with Lakshmi until her last moment?" Bhagavan says, "Amma had a lot of vasanas left to be destroyed, so I had to be with her till the end. Lakshmi had no vasanas left. Therefore, I could come away." I would like to conclude this pravachanam, or should I say, the life of the great Bhaktin Gau Lakshmi, with this beautiful poem by the great poet Harindranath Chattopadhyay, which he composed soon after Lakshmi attained Bhagavan's feet. The poet says, "Before the golden sage who reigneth still at the white foot of the celestial hill, Arunachala, Lord of beacon light, I bow in reverence and then rise to write. This song about the cow who urged she die was by his touch of mercy deified, and set among the immortals who continue to breathe as light within me and within you. It is of her I sing who is no more, Lakshmi, the master sacred cow, who bore the beauty of a goddess. She who was experience carven out of luminous paws and molded into creature line and curve. Lakshmi, the mother cow, was born to serve sage Ramana. May we evermore learn from sweet Lakshmi to salute thy light, to bend in self-surrender and adore thy presence raining on the starry heights, piercing the darks of sightless human sight. Give us the grace like her to see beyond thy human form, thy majesty. Enveloping the universe like her, make each of us a true interpreter of spirit radiance until we, who seek, grow one and indivisible with thy peace. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Arunachala Ramana. I shall now present a folklore on this divine Bhakta of Ramana, Lakshmi. Gomata Shri Lakshmamma Yemai Paramma Gomata Shri Lakshmamma Yemai Paramma Gomata Shri Lakshmamma Yemai Paramma Untandai Shri Ramana பார்த்தது போல் கோமாதா ஸ்ரீ லக்ஷ்மம்மா தாமதமில்லாத தயவுடன் வந்து கற்பனை பாசொரியும் அழகிய இரு தாமதமில்லாத தயவுடன் வந்து கற்பனை பாசொரியும் அழகிய இரு தாமரை கண்களில் ரமணனின் செல்வமே தந்த விக்ரமே பக்தரத்னமே கோமாதா ஸ்ரீ லக்ஷ்மம்மா எமை பாரம்மா கோமாதா ஸ்ரீ லக்ஷ்மம்மா நடமாடும் நாரத பக்தி சூத்திரமே ரமணதேவனின் நன்று தீனியை நடமாடும் நாரத பக்தி சூத்திரமே ரமணதேவனின் அன்பு தீனியை அசை போட்டு ஆனந்த குரல் எழுப்பும் காமதேனுவே கற்பக தருவே கோமாதா ஸ்ரீ லக்ஷ்மம்மா எமை பாரம்மா கோமாதா ஸ்ரீ லக்ஷ்மம்மா பக்தர்கள் கூட்டத்தின் தலைவியை வாராய் சித்தர்கள் வியக்கும் சித்திகள் காட்ட பக்தர்கள் கூட்டத்தின் தலைவியை வாராய் சித்தர்கள் வியக்கும் சித்திகள் காட்ட முக்தியின் சான்றாக வேண்பவம் பெற்றாய் உத்தம பக்தையை ஓதோடி வாராய் கோமாதா ஸ்ரீ லக்ஷ்மம்மா எமை பாரம்மா கோமாதா ஸ்ரீ லக்ஷ்மம்மா நாதனை காணா ஓடோடி வந்தாய் ஜெயந்தி தினம் பார்த்து கன்றுகள் நீங்காய் நாதனை காணா ஓடோடி வந்தாய் ஜெயந்தி தினம் பார்த்து கன்றுகள் நீங்காய் தந்தையின் கரங்களில் முக்தியும் பெற்றாய் பக்தியின் லட்சணம் புகட்டு வருவாய் கோமாதா ஸ்ரீ லக்ஷ்மம்மா எமை பாரம்மா உன் தந்தை ஸ்ரீரமணர் உன்னை பார்த்தது போல் கோமாதா ஸ்ரீ லக்ஷ்மம்மா எமை பாரம்மா உன் தந்தை ஸ்ரீரமணர் உன்னை பார்த்தது போல் கோமாதா ஸ்ரீ லக்ஷ்மம்மா கோமாதா ஸ்ரீ லக்ஷ்மம்மா கோமாதா ஸ்ரீ லக்ஷ்மம்மா